Today on Locked On Phoenix Suns, 6 straight. The Phoenix Suns 115 to 112. How they got it done when they were down once again. How they got it done in the clutch once again. Lots of good things coming up next.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Suns. I'm Brendon, Kleen, a staff writer at Awful Announcing and a credentialed Suns media member. Thank you for making Locked On Suns your first listen to kick off your winning Thursday. Don't forget, Locked On Suns, free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So click that follow or subscribe button to do what thousands of other Suns fans have already done. Become an everydayer and get locked on to the Phoenix Suns right here each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook. Start the season with a big return at FanDuel, where new customers can place a $5 bet and get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Joining me, as always, from downtown Phoenix here at the lovely Footprint Center. How are we feeling on this winning Thursday, Ben Garcia?
You know, I'm good. I was stressed a little bit in the third quarter. Suns kind of figured it out, but now I'm stressed again because I'm looking at the amount of tabs that you have open on your computer.
It's more than on Monday, I think. You might have heard there was an election, so I got some news to read.
I don't think you have ever closed out of a tab. When I'm saying there might be 25 tabs open, that stresses me out. Not as much as the Suns did in the third quarter, but overall, 6 straight wins. And your first place in the Western Conference Phoenix Suns. If the playoffs were to start today, Brendon, they would be the number 1 seed.
1 seed. Who would they be playing? Some random team like overperforming the Jazz? What are we looking at?
Well, now that we have the play-in tournament, there's like 4 teams that they can play.
True.
So
who's the 8th seed right now? The 8th seed is the Sacramento Kings. Well, we'll see them on Sunday. But yes, another win, another close call. It would be nice to just cover a blowout, I will say that. But we're back here at Footprint Center. We got Josh Okogie behind us. I want to shout out the 7-word or less game take of the night. This one's kind of rude. Andre Lang, Nurk really wants to stay. I mean, come on. Come on. But
they're kicking him when he's down, man. They're
when he's
kicking
up,
him when he's down.
When he's up.
Oh, I guess when he's up.
He kind of had a good one, and people can't even let him do it. And then Spencer, this was actually the one I was going to go with. KD is too nice with the basketball. You got one?
Yeah. Slim Reaper, Bosnian Beast, Suns win. That's what the story was from tonight. I was hoping you would ask me. I was going to make a joke to you and combine up the big threes point total tonight, but instead of Bradley Beal, I was going to add in Jusuf Nurkic and try to get you there, but overall people are starting to see what I was talking about earlier in the year. The Jusuf Nurkic apologies better be as loud as the disrespect.
We will get to Nurkic. I'm sure you can get your own 7-word or less game taken by following me on X. My @ is right there on the screen. If you're on YouTube, it's in the show description if you are listening at home. Let's zoom in on our moment of the game, Ben, as we always do here. There's some nights, like we said on Monday, where we just broke down KD absolutely ripping the Philadelphia 76ers' throats out. Tonight, it was the end of the third quarter where I think you said at one point, maybe it's just not one of those games. Maybe it's just the inevitable L that kind of comes in the regular season, and then what do? From the 1 minute and 59-second mark of the third quarter to the end, they go from being down 15 to going on an 11-1 run to suddenly the game is very much within reach. And obviously, we'll talk through some of the very late game stuff as the pod rolls along, but you had threes, you had an and one by Book. It was just everything you want to see when a team is in that spot.
I can't remember a Suns team outside of a few moments in the 2021 playoffs, a team that can just turn it on in an instant. I looked over to you, and I think it was 69-82 at this point, and I just said, you know, it just doesn't really seem like their night. Shots aren't falling. Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker at that point had 13 field goals combined. And then, lo and behold, Kevin Durant ends at 32. Again, just a quiet 32. If you would ask me, I wouldn't have guessed he had that. 22 points in this game. And then guys like Jusuf Nurkic step up. And Bradley Beal, man, it's all the little things he's done for this team, and it's not just the scoring. But I think the biggest turning point in this game, and we kind of mentioned it was just the end of that third quarter where Devin Booker got the and one. And, I looked over to you and I said, can they just make this a 2-possession game? They did that. Turned it into the fourth quarter where they started with the ball and never looked back. But something about these Suns third quarters, man, they just come out ready to play no matter what in that second half. And that's coaching. That is coaching. Adjustments, Budenholzer, again, getting his flowers tonight.
It was honestly pace, too. It was like the everydayers probably are like, they already know what I'm about to say, but I have said a million times, the most hype I've ever heard this crowd is a campaign transition 3. I will stand by that until somebody changes my mind. But it is something about those moments. Maybe it's just we've watched so many high-powered, high-octane, fast-paced offenses here in the Valley. But it's those moments where it's just transition 3 after transition 3 after the and one finish.
Are you saying any campaign 3 or it's like a specific one?
Not any 3.
Okay.
But if there was a run in that couple of years where he was the sixth man and he capped it off with a big shot, that was what would bring the building down, because he's just such a fan favorite. So we're not quite there, but it is obviously an awesome start to the season. And my point is the crowd felt that moment too, and it was absolutely the turning point in this game because again, like I know I keep saying we got to retire the comparisons to last year at a certain point, but this team wouldn't have done that last year.
It's not the same
They would have rolled over.
Well, I had said this to you over there in the media space. I was like, every game has been close. Every game has been a banger. And the Suns lose every single game last year. And you and I can't even remember what we were debating in the media room back there, but you had basically said, this is kind of the same team from last year. It's a lot of the same players. And, like, to a point, I do agree. But there has been such a culture shift with this team where I have fun watching them win close games because – yeah, a blowout's going to be fun, and they're going to have a handful of those this year, but these types of games are what get you ready for the playoffs. No other team, in my opinion, just box score watching, is more battle-tested than the Suns. And, yeah, man, you said it at the beginning of the year. You thought this was going to be the most fun Suns season of your lifetime.
Looking pretty good.
It has been the most fun Suns season. I don't remember 2021 and 8 straight games are this close, and they're coming back for every single game. Yeah. There is a different culture and belief in this team, and I just can't believe how wrong I was last year with the culture. It clearly wasn't just the players. It was the upper front office, management, coaching, whatever it is. Things have changed. This Suns team's awesome, and they have already created a buffer. Like, if someone gets injured, God forbid, but like Ryan Dunn went down tonight.
We'll get there, right?
Yeah, it happens. And it sounds like it's not too big, but we'll get down there tonight. Kevin Durant twists an ankle. Bradley Beal twists an ankle. They're 7-1. They've built in a buffer that, guess what, the Bucks don't have, the Sixers don't have right now. That's a big deal.
Yeah. So Nuggets 5-3. I mean, even that.
It's just they have wiggle room now, and they didn't have that last year. And everything has been a complete 180. It is so fun. Every game is so fun. Every game is a banger.
Let's fast forward to crunch time. Get our big takeaways from this game as we roll on. The Phoenix Suns win 115-112. First, today's show is brought to you by SKIMS. Did you see how good Donovan Mitchell and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander looked in that ad? Come on. You saw it.
I saw it. They did look great.
Okay.
They did look great.
So they sent some SKIMS to us, and look, I wasn't sure, right? It's like, okay, is that just a women's brand? What is the deal here? Are they actually going to be all the hype? They do live up to it. They are freaking soft. That is the number one thing that I will say. Look, we've all bought stuff where it's like scratchy or annoying or too tight or too loose or whatever. They just fit right. They just fit. They're snug, but they're soft, and they have some give. And I didn't even notice them, which is usually the best thing I can say about any kind of underwear is that I don't even think about it. I put them on. It's over. I don't have to worry. I don't have to be shifting or wondering or annoyed throughout the rest of the day. That is what you're going to get with your SKIMS. I'm not vouching for the fact you can look as good as Donovan or Shai. I'm not going to go there. I don't know if you can quite
We can take
pull
the
that
picture
off.
for you.
You can do that if they send you some. You came on after SKIMS blessed us with our own samples, so I don't know if you've been able to check it out, but I can vouch for it. Obviously, the two all-NBA guards over there can do the same. Shop SKIMS Men at skims.com, guys. Try it out. Let them know we sent you. Feel that softness where it matters. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey, select our show, Locked On Suns, of course, in the drop-down menu that follows. And if you're looking for the perfect gifts for the whole family, SKIMS just launched their biggest holiday shop ever, also available at skims.com. All right, coming back, keeping the show rolling. Phoenix Suns win 6 straight, 115-112 over the Miami Heat. Ben, I will get us started with my biggest takeaway from this game, which is that the Suns are clutch killers. I believe that they are now 3-0 or 4-0 in these. I think it's 4-0 because I think Monday was 3-0.
Should be 4-0.
In these games that are within 5 points in the final 5 minutes. They are +6 in this fourth quarter. I don't know where that puts us total in the fourth quarter, but they are way in the positive. And post-game, we heard about it over and over from everybody. And I think it reminds me of a point that I made to you when we were talking about the Tyus Jones acquisition earlier in the week. We watched this team and had no clue why it was so ugly late in these games last year. And so when I think I was trying, like, from once it happened all the way through when we started recording, I'm like, what's different, right? And if I'm going to say last year was mental, then them fixing it's also mental. And I really believe that. I think that there is a certain amount of structure and kind of plan A, B, C, D element to what Bud has brought in and installed, and kind of there's less thinking going on, and there's more do this, get KD the ball in space and go for it. But in terms of getting there and actually executing it and it looking so seamless, from the player standpoint, I just think that they're loose and free out there. And it almost feels like a compounding effect right now where the win on Monday makes it more comfortable and confident tonight. The wins against Dallas or whoever throughout the rest of the season, like you mentioned it with the cushion from a rep standpoint and a depth standpoint and being able to withstand some injuries, I think that they're giving themselves a confidence cushion right now late in these games as well to just be able to go out there and not worry, not stress, not overthink it. And to me, that's the biggest reason why they've been able to execute so flawlessly in all these close games that are fun but do get tight.
Well, I think to your point as well, the Suns are one of the few teams in the NBA so far, along with the Celtics, the Cavs, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and you could probably even lump the Warriors into that, where they have found an identity and they found something that they can hone in on when things don't really go their way. At one point in this game, I think it was right in the beginning where they took the lead for the first time in the fourth quarter, Devin Booker hits an inbound pass, mid-range jumper. They know they can go to that. They know that this team's ability to shoot the three ball, they can go to that. Kevin Durant has continued to answer the bell for this team. And that again, that's an identity, right? Kevin Durant is the closer for this team. That is not changing anytime soon. And just to kind of harp on that as well, Kevin Durant should be, at this point, I don't know if you saw, the NBA.com put out their MVP ladder. Kevin Durant was nowhere in sight. With multiple, made buckets and clutch time situations, and just that whole identity for this team to be able to fall back on. Not a lot of these teams have that, and you can't blame those teams right now for not having that. 7 games into the season, they're trying to work in teams, but the Suns pushed all the right buttons in the offseason to add these guys in. It just continues to show on the court, and yeah, man, it's a cushion. They're more comfortable with it, and it seems like in these situations, 8 games in, they're just more comfortable than the other team. Maybe some of that is that they've just been at home a lot and they're comfortable here. The Heat having to come from Miami, like that's a far plane ride. You got to figure it out. The Suns have been able to do that. It's comfortable, and that's what they've been able to do.
So, interesting kind of thing here is the obvious plan late in these games, whether it's staggered screens or it's kind of one screen, reset, another screen, it's just get Kevin Durant on a smaller player in space. That's all it is. It's nothing complicated, nothing fancy, nothing that the defense doesn't know is coming. And so that's what they want to do. They also have the benefit of when that does not work, KD can just make it over somebody anyway, right? And we've seen that time and again. Like the last, basically foot on the line too. Like, no one else would even want to be taking that shot late in the game, let alone making it the way that Durant has proven to us over and over that he can. But he didn't even get the switch. He wanted to go after Hero in that moment. he didn't even get the switch, and he ends up shooting it over Haywood Highsmith. Later, he does get the switch on Hero because they just kept running it and running it and running it. Mike Budenholzer talked post-game, and, very coach-like. Of course, he's not going to just rest on his laurels and go, yeah, we're doing great. We're awesome late in games. We're feeling good. But his point was, that's not going to be there for us every night. Teams are going to start to solve it. So it's not even a positive or a negative thing. I'm just planting the seed for the audience, because I was there post-game hearing it, that it's working now. What do they do next? Can they continue to be as dynamic and confident and comfortable in those situations once teams just say, we're just doubling Kevin? The minute he gets the ball, we're doubling him, or whatever changes we see come their way, because no team wants to just let him continue to be an MVP against them. That's what I'm watching as we continue.
And that's why you have Devin Booker too. Devin Booker is still one of the better fourth quarter players in the NBA. We saw that when he had Chris Paul. If they're going to double Kevin Durant, guess what? A really good succession plan is having a all-NBA type player there behind him to do it. But the teams are going to do that. But that was a
killer shooting everywhere and all that.
That was a point that I was going to make as well, but you have made it. They continuously hunt after smaller players. That didn't necessarily happen on the final play of the game. But whether it's Tyler Hero or whether it's Caleb Martin the other day, they're going to continue. Tyrese Maxey. They're continuously hunting teams. Or hunting teams' smallest or worst defenders. Luka Doncic
it's been Harden in the Clippers games.
I don't know how they're still doing it. I feel like teams should be able to see this on the film.
Because teams just switch everything. It's 2024.
But you got to flip. Okay, that's fine. But how many times have we talked up here in the media box? All right, guys, we got to fight over screens. Get Ryan Dunn in. Make it a little bit tougher.
Because then you see what happens is that play late in the Philly game where Yabusele's on him, and KD just drives past him and dunks it. You know what I mean?
Immediately.
So it's like, it's a pick your poison, and I think teams are just saying, we're going to switch that because at least we can just stand up. But then it's like, you got 6 inches height disadvantage, and the dude has an 8-foot wingspan. You're not even going to be able to contest the shot. He's going to make it with the rhythm that he's in right now.
And that takes me to what I thought was the biggest takeaway from today's game, because we're kind of talking about the Suns exploiting matchups. For me tonight, I was going to lean over to you until, obviously, Jusuf Nurkic really stepped it up tonight, and it's kind of lumping in both guys. I was like, man, maybe Mason Plumlee is just a better fit for this team, not shooting the basketball from three-point land. But, of course, then Jusuf Nurkic really turns it on, and that just leads me to this. The Suns' 2 centers, that rotation right now, as healthy, these guys have the ability to take advantage of what opposing teams give them. They did this against the Mavericks. They did this against the 76ers late. And then tonight as well, you saw no small ball because Mike Budenholzer is not overthinking the situation, putting in Mason Plumlee and then inserting Jusuf Nurkic, who was awesome tonight. 20 points, 18 boards, at the bare minimum with this team. And yes, we get a little frustrated at times with Jusuf Nurkic. We get a little frustrated at times with Mason Plumlee. Even though I try to preach, guys, this is what they are. The fact that they have the ability to take advantage of what the defense gives them, that is something at minimum you have to ask of your big man. And those 2 guys did that tonight. And as long as they consistently do that, I don't need them in ginormous games. I'm going to let the big 3 take advantage of that. So those 2 guys tonight really did show out and impressed me a lot, especially Mason Plumlee at times, who I think will get a little overshadowed over Jusuf Nurkic, who is my boy on this show. The apologies better be as loud as the disrespect, but both guys played fantastic tonight. It took advantage of a smaller Heat team as they did against the 76ers as well.
Nurk definitely is redeeming himself this week. Bouncing back and just, I think, getting into a good rhythm. I mean, he makes some more shots tonight. He's able to score the ball with 20 points. He's at 18 rebounds. Box score obviously will just tell you the impact that he had, but it was also just like you're saying, the coaching staff being confident in him and him being able to just exert his influence. And Bam having a bad game is a huge part of Bam having a bad game.
I thought people were yelling at us. Sorry.
We got the social media. We got Amanda Pflugrad behind us.
I thought we were getting yelled at.
Bam having a bad game is a huge part of this, right? The story of what happened tonight. And I just think you're seeing the defensive ability that Nurk can have as well. I think mentioned it a little bit on Monday with Philly and what they did to get the ball out of Paul George's and Tyrese Maxey's hands. You saw them doing a similar thing with Rozier and whatnot as well, blitzing pick and rolls, making the ball handler get rid of it, creating situations for the opposing offense where they're making tough passes that are easily interceptable. That's ways when we talk about the Suns generating more turnovers and things like that, that's what it looks like. So you can tell Bud not only just knows he has to rely on his, fifth, sixth best player, whatever you want to call Nurk, but there's real ways that he can be a weapon. And so I think we saw it. Yes, posting up smaller dudes, but also on the defensive end. Let's get to another aspect of Nurk's game and our rookie watch as we continue our recap of this Suns win coming up next. First, today's show is brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook, America's number one sportsbook, the official sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network. Get ready to tackle the NFL action at FanDuel right now because new customers are getting $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5 and win. That's right, the FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more all on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. I like anytime touchdown bets, Ben. They're fun. There's nothing that's going to make you more crazy than just praying that a dude gets into the end zone. But I'm looking at Thursday Night Football when folks are going to be listening to this. One of the biggest minus odds bets you can possibly find on this game is Derrick Henry to get pay dirt. Feels like a pretty good one with the type of rhythm that he's been in. You can also just scroll through the NFL weekend and say, that team's the biggest favorite. Let me drop 5 on them and take advantage of what FanDuel's offering me, which is $150 in bonus bets with that W with my first bet. Then you really get started, have some more fun. All at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, let's close out the show, Ben. So, box score oddity is part of. I didn't call it the closeout. I haven't been throwing that at you.
You have not been
disappointed. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's a lot. It's so funny when we do these post game shows because I'm over here just the talking head. You are maneuvering between literally 40 tabs, and I'm not going to get upset with you for not calling it the closeout, but yes, the closeout.
It's been a few games.
This guy does a lot.
It's been a few days.
This is 2013 Braun right here.
It's not even. It's not even just today. I feel like I forgot the name of my own segment, but within that, the box score oddity, we like to just jump around, look at a number that caught our attention here. Back to Jusuf Nurkic, 3 of 3 from deep. They went in. We crapped on him in the last episode. He's not making his threes. I start the show with that, such a granular thing, and I don't think he listens. I mean,
we know one.
Probably has some Bosnian music
listens
in his headphones most of the time, but he 3 of 3 from deep.
Listen, we know there's one player out there that listens. There's probably others as well. At least I like to think that they're an everydayer. Jusuf Nurkic probably in one of our DMs right now telling us, told you so. But Nurkic, it just looked better tonight, and he was shooting the ball confidently.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that also just comes back to Budenholzer not throwing the guy on the bench the other night. He's playing with more confidence, and that really started from the fourth quarter on last game. And so Nurkic tonight, man, what do you think if this is consistent? Now, he's not going to shoot 100%. If he shoots 33% from 3, 32% from 3, if 1, is that even sustainable? And 2, what does that do for the Suns' offense?
I mean, I'm not going to back off. We just did an episode on it yesterday. So I would be sitting here a complete fraud if I say this is now a change. But what it has to become is a quick enough trigger, which I do think helped tonight, right? Mm-hmm. Like when he caught it, he shot it. Mm-hmm. A lot of the time, even dating back to last year when Vogel gave him the green light early, he's sitting there, he wants to pass it, he thinks about driving it, he's looking at his matchup, and then he goes, all right, screw it, I'll take a 3. That can't be the deal. 1, because the defense is having a million years to come and close out to you, and 2, because it obviously makes him a less efficient shooter. So that's one thing. The volume has to be there, the confidence has to be there so that it's a real part of his game and not a last resort. The other thing is, if he's going to make them, it has to be over a long enough period of time that it becomes part of the actual game plan of what teams are accounting for, and they actually put a guy out there when he's spacing and close out to him when he catches it. Even tonight, on a night where we're praising him for making them and going 3 of 3, in the plays where he wasn't involved in the offense and being a facilitator or a screener, and he was maybe camped out in the corner, camped out above the arc, if you go back and watch, Bam Adebayo was in the paint. And teams are going to do that every single night. And it's going to take a long time to change that. It's going to take 15, 20, 30 games of being consistent as a shooter to actually earn that respect from the defense. So kudos, wonderful, it's great, but we're still a long way. This is just hopefully a stepping stone toward that.
Teams are going to let Jusuf Nurkic beat him for a few months before they actually start to give him the respect he is going to want from opposing teams.
Because you just said it with doubling KD, right? It's like
they're going to double.
You're not going to. If you're picking your poison on a team with the big three, you're going to sag off Jusuf Nurkic. I mean, that's plan A, right?
Well, that's
it's going to be plan A.
That was the issue last year with Josh Okogie. They would oftentimes sag off of him, and he'd be playing 4-on-5 offensive basketball. Now, it's not going to happen so far to that extent because Jusuf Nurkic is a 7-footer. But that was another thing that you would mention tonight. It did look like he was much more decisive with his threes. Anyone that plays pickup basketball, oftentimes when you're about to shoot the basketball and there's no one around you, you kind of think about it for a second, and then sometimes you're like, am I going to shoot this? Or you'll take a quick dribble. That almost always messes up your shot. I can almost call it with even good three-point shooters. When they take a little bit longer, when they think about it, so much about basketball is mental. And Jusuf Nurkic didn't look like he was in his head tonight. And it wasn't just the three-point shot from tonight. He made some really good passes, backdoor cuts. I couldn't tell you how many turnovers he had tonight,
Only
if
two.
any. 2 turnovers tonight. And to use the word that to use the phrase Kevin Durant used the other night describing Jusuf Nurkic's low turnovers, which it didn't feel like any of them hurt him. It felt like tonight, from the fourth quarter on in the 76ers game to now, he has been a net positive. And a lot of that has to do with the three-point shooting. If he can continue with that, awesome. But just like you had said it well, it's going to take months. Months for this team to figure it out.
Gerald Bourguet had tweeted before the game that the Suns' starting lineup, which had been a really big negative, mostly because Nurk had been struggling for the first 5 games of the season. The past couple, it had been positive. Tonight, I would assume the numbers would back up that 5-man unit of the starters was also a positive once again. So good signs. We're sticking on him a lot, but again, Bam struggling was such a big thing. And I want to point out on the Miami defensive side of the floor, they started this game with Bam on KD and Jovic, who basically was a non-factor because he struggled,
5 minutes
guarding Nurk. And just to highlight how impactful of a game Nurk had, he forced Miami to adjust to him. That, you mentioned the Dallas game, it reminded me of that, where Dallas had Kleba on him, and he just scored 12 points in a row to close out that first half. It wasn't quite that extreme today, but that's why this dude still has value and why I think Vogel, Bud, the stars on this team, they all value him because they know he can be a matchup nightmare. So whether it's the shooting or the other stuff, he's definitely asserting himself. Let's go to our rookie watch to close things out, Ben. Not a great one tonight. Oso continues to be not part of this rotation, so obviously we're not going to be talking about him. But Ryan Dunn comes in, first minute of the second quarter, nails a 3. And you're like, okay, we're back. Dunn is going to make an impact. And then he did until he got hurt. And you noticed it. It was on a sprinting defensive contest. I point to the part of the court that it happened, like anyone can see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he comes down the court. He actually swings the ball over to Grayson Allen, who hits a bomb 3. He sits there a little long, but he waits for that shot to go in.
Yeah.
And then when the shot goes in, he grimaces. And I was like, oh no, that's not good.
He kind of gave I don't want the coaching staff to see that I'm hurting, so I'm going to just man through it or whatever. Then he had to finally give in.
And then I felt kind of stupid because I went, oh, Brendon, he's hurt. And he got back up, and I was like, okay, maybe he's fine. So he played a little, another minute longer, and he kind of gave a little grimace look to the sideline. They immediately pulled him out. They got him on the little bands thing, and they started stretching it out. I go, maybe it's a calf. And then we get later on that it's an ankle for Ryan Dunn.
Yeah, Bud confirmed left ankle sprain, no obvious, diagnosis
best
or anything.
Best case scenario, honestly.
Yeah.
Even if it was a calf injury, it could be longer.
Pulling a muscle way worse than, tweaking a bone. So we'll see. But yeah, left ankle sprain. He left the game, was in the locker room for the rest of it after midway through the third, I would say. Yeah. And then we'll see what the prognosis becomes for the rest of. But I think he'll probably miss. I don't think he'll play Friday.
No. If he's got an ankle injury, the Suns are 7-1. They have a buffer. They can lose a wing for even I doubt it's going to be this long, but sometimes ankle injuries are this bad. 2 weeks.
Sure.
It's probably going to be more like a week for Ryan Dunn. He's a younger guy. You can rip up your ankle, be good the next day. Here would be my question for you. Who steps up? Who do they go to? Is it Oso?
I
don't think so.
I don't think it's Oso anymore, because I know I made the case in preseason they're kind of filling a similar role, but Dunn stepping up as a shooter changes that completely.
Is it a Kogi?
It's probably a Kogi or Bull. I kind of want to talk about this tomorrow, though, so I don't want to spend too much time, because I want to say, like, how do they kind of adjust? We'll maybe talk about the KD MVP stuff, too. That seems like a good topic. That's it, though. I think we covered everything here. The only other number I feel like we got to shout out is we mentioned, only 2 turnovers for Nurk. They did have 16 as a team. A lot cleaner in the second half, though, but 29 assists. That's a really good number. The ball movement has been on another level the past couple of games. They're definitely buying into what Bud wants to do here, I think.
We're still looking for this team to play a complete basketball game, because right now they have and this is a good thing. This is a really good thing. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish, but you still want to play complete basketball. We are still waiting for this team to play a full 4 quarters of basketball, and they're 7-1. They're going to figure it out, but right now they've been mostly a second half team. But you also have an everydayer to shout out as well.
I do. Shout out to Oscar. He came and dapped us up pregame while we were eating. I didn't actually get a chance to talk to the dude, because I didn't know what he was.
He was doing like the too respectful thing.
Yeah.
He was like, and I was like, don't. I want to shake your. I want to hug you.
Yeah.
Come here.
What's your story?
Super nice guy.
Yeah.
Oscar came up. He said he loved the show, and just we love you, Oscar. So
I have a question
for
you. We can establish it here on the show, hold ourselves accountable. Nick Engstadt, who does our channel manager job here on the network, he also hosts Locked On Mavs.
He also talks really fast.
And Locked On Rockets host Jackson Gatlin, Texas dudes. They both have Locked On their show stickers, and they tell people in the arena, come say what's up, and you'll get a sticker and spread the good word and get to meet the host and whatever. Should we get stickers?
We need to get stickers.
Kind of feels like we need to get stickers.
I need to get my wife on that. That is something that she would do for us. We need to.
The problem is,
we'll make that happen.
The lovely Suns, we get great seats, but they're in the club level, and no one can get up here. So we would have to do it kind of pre-game and pick a spot.
We're gonna have to just start walking around the concourse. It's so flattering to see people come up and just say that they enjoy the show. So
if we do it in a bar, people are gonna want to buy us shots or something. That's gonna get ugly. So we gotta pick
Brendon. I've
this.
seen some of the comments. People are like, "We want to buy you guys." Brendon is a heavy drinker, man.
Yeah,
this guy, I gotta keep him honed in half the time during the show.
We are at like a lounge named after some kind of rum, I believe. So we're in the spirit
15
here.
bottles.
That
right
is
there.
literally a bar. So we're kind of backing up ourselves. But okay, we might have to get some stickers and pick a place to meet some folks. That'll wrap us up, though. Shout out Oscar. Hit follow, subscribe, guys, if you haven't already. Become an everydayer. Get locked on right here to the Suns. Join us. We'll have one more show for you to close out the week, and we'll talk to you then.